Hello guys and welcome to the next video of your Python and API development course. So previously you have learned about the Python and its fundamentals, you have learned about APIs, you have learned about API endpoints and HTTP methods. Now in this video we will be trying on some hands-on experience on API endpoints and HTTP methods that are available across web, and we'll see how they actually work. Now to guide you through this hands-on experience, I will be using Postman to generate and initiate requests to these sample endpoints that I found across the web. So I just try to find a dummy API that can provide to me with some endpoints that cover all the HTTP methods that we discussed. So I found this across the web, and we will be generating HTTP requests to these endpoints, and we'll see how they respond to our request. And we will be using Postman for that. What is Postman? Firstly, so Postman is a tool which is used to test APIs. So using Postman, we can generate our request, our HTTP request to different endpoints, and we can see that how these endpoint will provide us with the response to that request. Now you see here that majorly we have discussed get request, post request, put request, delete request. You'll see a patch request also here, which is a HTTP method. So there are, as I told you, there are many multiple types of HTTP method. So patch and put, both of these HTTP methods, both are used to update previously added details, but previously added data. But what's the difference between patch and put is patch is used to update a part of that data, and put is used to update the whole data. So you can basically understand patch and put in a way that you see roads, right? And if you see that road is uh, distorted from some points, or it just broke off some of the parts of the road, then we patch it. We just patch that part of the road, and the road is good to go. But if the road is broken from too many places, then we have to put new road over it, right? So that's the same difference between patch and put, that patch is used to update some parts of that previously added data, and put is used to update the whole data. And don't confuse it with post request, because post is used to create new data. Okay. So to test these endpoints, firstly let us see these endpoints. So you will see that as I've already told you, that all this HTTP API instant web tools.net, this is the base URL. That V1 Airlines, this is the path. Again, this is the path. If you will see V1 Airlines and it is written colon ID, which signifies that I have to put my ID over here to get the request. It's kind of query parameter here. So generally query parameters are added, as I told you, after the question mark and their parameter argument name and its value. Also, in some of the endpoints, they directly take data from the URL. So it's kind that we can put the ID directly in the endpoint, and the backend server will recognize that which ID I'm trying to process here. Okay. Similarly, again, this is the base URL. This is the path. Okay, V1 passengers. Again, this is V1 passenger path, and this ID is what I have to put here, my ID. I will go get you through this, and you will see that this one question mark here after the path. After the path, we have question mark, and we have page equals to 0, size and size equals to 10. So this page and size, these are both two arguments in the query parameter. Sorry. So now let's get into this. I'll first open Postman agent here. So I'll write postman.com. So I'm already logged in the Postman. If you are not, you can log in or you can sign up to the Postman, and you will get the window here. Okay, so this is the window that you'll get after signing into the postman.com. So I have many workplaces here, so I'll go with my workplace. Okay, and we'll test these APIs on my workplace only. So just click on my workplace. After this, it will load my workplace, where I can test these endpoints as per my convenience, that which type of HTTP method I want to put, what is the body that I want to pass, what is the response that I want to get. Everything I can see here in this window. Okay, so this is what we get here. It's loading. So what you need to do is you need to press this add button for new request. This is just the overview. Okay, so I'll put this new button, which will create a new request for me. Okay, you can see here this request ID is generated. So a new request has been generated. Now I can just close this overview. And here I have this. This is the main window where we will be testing our API, and all the response that we'll get through from the API, we will be seeing it here. So to change the HTTP method, because here it is written that if I am using this API, I need to use get method. If I am using this API, I need to use post method. If I'm using this API, I need to use delete method, and if I'm using this API, I need to use patch method. Similarly, for this, I need to use put method. I need to use put method. Okay, so I can change that which HTTP method I am trying to do is here. Okay, from here I can change if I want post, or if I want patch, or if I want delete anything. Okay, so now I can enter my URL here, and then I can send the request. Okay, if I have any query parameters in the URL, I can add these query parameters here, which we will see. First, let's start with the very basic first request, which is a get request. So it's written that if I use this URL and I generate a get request over this endpoint, it will read all the airline details for me. And if I see here, I have an option for copy URL and go to documentation. So before implementing any API or generating any request, first you must read the documentation of that API. So if I say go to the document, so it says that it is a this endpoint reads all the airlines from the database and return those as a list. You have, you know that what are lists in Python also, and it's normal list here in the web response. So it will return the list of these documents. Okay, airline documents. This is the example response. So what I'll do is this kind of response I'll get, so I know I'll copy this URL. I know I need to use get HTTP method. I'll go here, I'll put that URL here, and no query parameter is given. Okay, so I can just send the request. So it's sending my request to the API. And see here, the status code that have been provided is 200. Okay, if I hover it, over it, that what is 200, then it says that it is a standard response for successful HTTP request. So as my request was successful, so I got 200 as the status code. Okay, so 200 is the status code that the request that I sent to this API was successful. Okay, now if you want to see it more properly, I would say I'm pretty it, so it prettifies it for me, because the raw data that came without any formatting was this, which is not that easy to read. So I'll say just prettify it for me, and it will format the data for me here, formatting. And as soon as it formats the data, we can see that taking some time. Let's wait for let's wait. Okay, yeah. So it's prettified here. See, it's a list, right? It's a list, and I can see that here 1,13,717 elements are there in this list. Okay, so this is how it looks. So that's what it already provided me with. If I saw the documentation before, I knew that ID, name, country, logo, slogan, header, headquarters, website, established some kind of this type of document will come. And yeah, here it is, same type of document came in a list. And list is long because it has many more entries in it. Now, so the first get request we posted on this, we generated on this API was successful, right? So that's how we generate a get request. So get request doesn't, as I already told you, don't has any body. It just is to read the data. So we can read it, right? We can read this data. Now let's see next API. What is the next endpoint? The next endpoint is a post endpoint. That means we must be creating something. So that's what it says. That create your own airline data. Now we can create our own airline data using this. Okay, so I'll copy this. I'll paste this here. I'll say that this is a post request. Now, as I told you that in the post request we always provide with the body. And how are we gonna know that what kind of body does this post request needs? That's where documentation plays a role. So if I go to the documentation, it has provided me with a sample request that this kind of sample request you should be having in your body so that you can successfully add data in this post API. So I will copy this. Okay. I'll go here, I'll select raw and I'll select that this is a JSON. I know that this is a JSON, JavaScript object notation. This is a key. This is its value. This is a key. This is its value. So this is a JSON format. So I'll just select here JSON. Then I'll just paste it here. Let me make it more big for you. Yeah. So here it is. This is a JSON format, right? Now we can change this according to ourselves. Let's go with the ID of our airline, right? Let's go with 6969 and name of the airline will go with Air India, right? Air India, country India, logo. Let's get a logo for India. Indian Airlines. I'll search for Indian Airlines. I'll select a logo for Indian Airlines images. So this kind of logo is of Indian Airlines. This one. So I need the link to this logo. So I'll right click on it. I'll say copy image address. I'll first see that is it of a format of a image or not. So no, this one is not. Uh, I think I need to copy the image address. Okay, yeah. So here it is PNG. Yeah, I got the image data. So I'll change the logo link here. So it's kind of a big link. Let me change this a bit for you. Yeah, this looks better. If I copy the image, I can get a link out of it, and which is a bit short link, and it's .svj. So svj is also a format of images. So put this. I'll put this here. Okay. Now slogan. The slogan is our Jai Hind. Headquarters. So we can take any headquarters, but as I'm from Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh, I'll say Kanpur, India. Okay. Website. Let's just add the 9AI website here. 9AI.in. and established. So we are adding this airlines right now. So we will say 2023, right? So as the document is specified, I have provided the body in that format only. So now I will post this request. That's how you add the body to your post request so that this can be added to the API's database or the backend database. I will say send this request and I will look for the status code 200. Okay. If the status, okay, so it says bad gateway. So it's generally bad. If there is a bad gateway, is because of the server response. So I'll send it again. It's a server response that server was. Okay, so it says that there's an airline already registered under the same ID. Okay, so I had a bad request because it said that your ID is already used. This ID is already used. So let's just change the ID. We'll say, let's say, just random ID. Okay, 321987. Okay, now I'll copy this so that I don't forget it. Let's send the request. Let's see if this ID is unique. Okay, so this was unique. I got 200 status code and I got a return that what document was added. Okay, so I got a return that this document was added. As I added, this is the link, this is the India, Air India, right? My ID, Jai Hind, my slogan, my headquarters, my website established, everything. Everything is good to go. So my document was added. But now you will say that how can we check that the document was added or not? So for that, they had provided us with another endpoint, which is so I want to read this that I just want to read that my post request that I generated, the document has added to the database or not. So here it is, read airline by or airline ID. We know what airline ID we have provided. So we'll just copy this. This is a get request again. So we will use get here. We will say paste and this is here ID. So ID, what we have given the ID 321987. Now as it's a post request, so we don't need any body here. So we will select none. This response is from previous post request. Just I'll send this get request and see that has my document been added. Yes, here it is. ID, name, country, logo, slogan, headquarters, website, established. So I added this in front of you. Then we checked that this was added or not. So first we read all the airlines using get request. Then we used post request to add our own airline details. And then we read it using another gets. Let's say, let us read any another. So it said 6969 was already there. Let's see who has added 6969 as their airline. So it's also from India also. The ID 6969 name, country, India logo. It hasn't provided anything else. So yeah. So that's how you provide a get request and you can provide your own ID in the URL if it is specified. Here it was specified that you need to provide your ID in the URL. If you don't provide anything here, it changes to this request. See, it's kind of same. Okay. So and both are get. So all the airlines data will come if you don't specify your ID here. That we the first request we generate. Now, again, let's see. We need to test delete. Okay, we need to test the delete passenger. So to delete a passenger by using passenger ID, first we need to add our passenger. So to add our passenger, we need a post request. Here it is the post request. So let's copy this. We will add our passenger here. Then we will read that the passenger was added or not. And if it's added, then we will delete that passenger. Okay. So this is the API. I need to post a request over it. And if it's a post request, I need to add a body. Let's see what is the response sample body, request body they have given us. So here is the sample request body. I will copy it. It's a JSON format. So I'll go here. I'll say raw. I'll say JSON. Okay. I'll, now I will add my details. Okay. My name is Kaushik. So I'll add trips. Let's say 58 trips. whatever. Airline. Okay, so which airline I want to add? So let's add our airline only. 321987. Okay, and let's send the request and see what result do we get. Okay, 200. That means the passenger was added, and airline C. This is our airline also. So I am registered under our airline. Okay, this airline I am registered under this. I need to remember this ID for me so that in the future I can get my details, I can delete. So this ID is necessary because I've seen that here that they ask for ID, right? They ask for ID. So now let's see read the passenger. I have added. Now let's see that even I am updated in the database also or not. So it's a get request. I'll change it to get. I'll change the API. It says I need to add ID. So what was my ID? Here it is. And this ID over here. Get request, nobody. Let's send the request. And here it is. We got again all the details, my name, my trips, my airline under which I am registered, everything. So I am added to the database. Now to see that if now to delete this. Now let's delete and then again we'll read that is there. So you will see that these both are same APIs, right? Their URL is same. Difference is if I post a get request, I'll get the data. If I post a delete request, then it will delete the passenger. So let's just change the request type and let's say just delete this. Okay, and let's send. Passenger data deleted successfully. Now how can we be sure that the passenger details were deleted or not? So we will again check that. I will try to read this passenger ID again. We will just change it to get and we'll say read it for me. Okay, send. It says 204 no content. So the passenger was deleted. Okay, now let us add the passenger again so we can implement patch and put request also. So I'll just say post request. I'll copy this. I'll say body raw JSON. Okay. So again, let's add same data again. So the data has been added. Okay. Now new ID has been provided to me. I'll copy this ID. Now it says let's update the passenger name. So it is a patch request. Why? Because I'm not updating the whole detail. I'm just updating the name of the passenger. So if I go to the documentation, here it will say that sample request should be this. This should be the body, that name, what name you want to. And always I have told you that patch and put request will take something or the other thing in the URL to know that what, I mean, which data wants to be updated. So I'll use this. I will add the ID. Okay, this is the new ID, right? Yeah. So now, as it is a patch request, I'll say just patch and body. We just want to provide the name, right? Let's just provide with the name. So let's change the name to costume Pandey. Okay, let's send the detail. Okay, passenger data updated successfully. Now let us read the data again. So we will just put the guest. Let's see that the name has been changed or not. See, the name has been changed to Kaustubh Pandey. Now let us use the put request over this same and update every detail of the passenger. If I go to the documentation of put request, it says you need to provide everything again. So in the put request, I'll change it to put because all the URLs are same, just changes. Okay, so I'll change my name also again to Kostu. I'll change the trips to, let's say now 88, let's say 99. Okay, and airline, let's change the airline to that airline that has taken our ID that we wanted to put. Okay, and just send it because now it gets updated on the same ID. If I try to uh, so passenger data put successfully completed. Okay. If I try to use a post request over here, I can't because I need to add new data to it. But now, and I will be provided new ID for it. But now I can just update that particular document or that particular data on the same ID. Because if I now post a get request over it, okay, you will see that name updated, trips updated, and the airline also got updated. So that's how we saw that how these APIs are working. Okay. Now, one more thing that we needed to do here was query parameters to check the last API, which was the query parameters. Here, it was a get request to read all passenger. This endpoint supports pagination. So I can, because there will be many passengers, right? So if I need to only add only see passengers from a particular page, I can use this. Okay, so I'll put this here. It's a get request, and here are two query parameters, page and size. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll remove this from here. I'll go to parameters. Now query parameters. First query parameter is page. So I'll say page. Now what is the value? Let's say we add second page. I want to read the second page. Again, one more query parameter is their size. So let's specify size to be 9 or 8, let's say 8. Okay, now let's send this. Okay, so it provided me with the data in the second page and provided me with these 8 passengers. If I say that I need size of the passenger, I need to read only 2 passengers from the page 2, then I can just change the size. So it is actually changing the query parameters in see here 1 and 2. Only 2 passenger came here. This first Abhishek and second is this Ankit. Okay. So what it is doing is the server is recognizing that there's a get request over this. Then it sees that the person has specified 2 query parameters. First, that the page should be second and the size should be 2. So accordingly, it sends the data. Now, if I say, let's say page number 32, sent. So it will provide me the data from the 32nd page. Okay. And with the size 2, size of the list of the passenger is 2. So in this video, we learned our hands-on experience over the APIs, endpoints, and we saw different HTTP methods, how they are used and how they are being implemented in the real world. We used Postman to generate our request, and also we saw that how query parameters work, how we can send JSON body to post request, patch request, and put request. We also saw delete request. So that's all for this video. See you guys in the next video.